He's the man behind the fear, the hidden face commanding one of the most dangerous organizations on the planet. But what few people know is that G.I. Joe's greatest enemy wasn't born from hatred. He was born from pain. And the truth behind his origin is so unsettling that by the time this video ends, you'll find yourself wondering who the real villain of this story actually is. Before the hood, before the global empire of terror, Cobra Commander was nobody. A used car salesman barely getting by in a country he believed had already forgotten him. But his real story begins with a loss. His older brother Dan was a Vietnam veteran. Dan volunteered for tour after tour, specifically to keep his younger brother safe from the draft. He came back from the war, but the war never left him. The trauma consumed him, and one night, Dan was killed in a car accident, caused by another driver. The man responsible walked free. Exposed to the right connections, the right money, the system simply looked the other way. And something inside the future commander shattered. He didn't grieve the way most people grieve. He didn't cry and move on. No, he declared war. Not on the man who killed his brother, but on the entire system that allowed it to happen. He believed, truly believed, that the American dream was a lie designed to protect the powerful and crush everyone else. Unemployed, bankrupt, consumed by rage, he began traveling the country, not looking for work, looking for people who felt exactly like he did, the broken, the forgotten, the angry. He found them in small towns, in failed businesses, in communities abandoned by the government. And he didn't promise them hope. He promised them something far more dangerous: revenge disguised as justice. He started a company called Arbco. On the surface, a multi-level business opportunity. Underneath, a recruitment machine for what would become the most dangerous terrorist organization in the world. And as the followers grew, the man disappeared. In his place, a blue hood, a symbol, a voice that demanded absolute loyalty or absolute silence. But here's where the story takes its darkest turn. During all of this, Cobra Commander had a family, a wife, and a son named Billy. When his wife discovered what her husband had done, what he had become, she threatened to go to the authorities. So the commander made a choice that would define every tragedy that followed. He abandoned his wife, and he took Billy with him. But power changes people, and the man who once swore to protect his son became the very thing he claimed to fight against: a tyrant, cold, paranoid, consumed by control. And Billy, watching his father transform into a monster, did the unthinkable. He joined the resistance, the anti-Cobra underground. His own son became his enemy. Now pay close attention, because this is where Larry Hama's writing becomes something far beyond a children's comic. Inside Cobra, there was a conspiracy. The Baroness and Major Blood, two of the commander's most trusted lieutenants, were plotting to assassinate him and seize control. They needed someone close enough to strike someone no one would suspect. And the person they recruited was Billy, his own son. A teenager asked to kill his own father, and Billy said yes, but the plot failed. Destro intercepted Billy before he could carry out the hit. And when Cobra Commander discovered that the would-be assassin was his own child, he didn't hesitate. He ordered Billy to be interrogated, restrained, pressured, to uncover who else was involved in the conspiracy. And Billy, even under that pressure, refused to give up a single name. Let that sink in for a moment. A son protecting his father's enemies. This is not a cartoon. This is Greek tragedy, drawn in 4-color ink. Storm Shadow. Cobra Commander's personal bodyguard and one of the deadliest ninjas in the world eventually freed Billy. The two escaped to New York, where Storm Shadow began training the boy in ninjutsu. For a brief moment, it looked like Billy might find a new path, a life away from the shadow of the serpent. But war doesn't care about redemption. Cobra Commander and Destro have just survived the destruction of the pit, the G.I. Joe underground headquarters. Separated from their forces, presumed dead, the two most dangerous men in Cobra are now on the run, in disguise. No army, no weapons, no power, just two men walking through the streets of New York like ghosts. The commander's disguise is almost pathetic. A ponytail, round green sunglasses, a thin mustache, the most feared terrorist on the planet, looking like a nobody. And for the first time, that's exactly what he is. Then, a police officer approaches. A little over a year ago, there was a flaming car wreck at the railroad crossing. Mysterious circumstances. There was only one survivor. Everybody else was incinerated. But this kid managed to crawl out of the wreckage on fire, with one eye and one leg missing. He had third-degree burns, concussion, and 5 cracked ribs. He's been in a coma ever since. The only identification he had was a wallet with his name in it. We ran it through all channels and came up blank. He also had a photo in his wallet of someone we assumed was his father. Without the mustache and glasses, it looks like you fit the bill to a T. Cobra Commander is taken to the hospital. And there, behind a curtain, he sees his son. The boy he abandoned emotionally. The boy who tried to kill him, lying motionless, tubes and machines keeping him alive, a shell of the child he once held in his arms, and the mask comes off. Not the figurative mask of power, the literal one of a broken father. And he cries. He tells Billy, unconscious, unable to hear a word, that he has been a terrible father, that he failed him, that everything he built, the empire, the legions, the global war, meant nothing compared to what he destroyed. And that is the real story behind the mask. But there's one detail that Cobra Commander never knew, or never wanted to know. That night, the driver who caused the accident was Dan, and the family he destroyed was Snake Eyes' family. If this story changed the way you see Cobra Commander, hit subscribe, because the next file in this dossier goes even deeper. We're going to reveal the connection between Cobra Commander's brother Dan, the death of Snake Eyes' family, and a secret that ties the two greatest enemies in G.I. Joe together by blood.